Hello, my friends. Good morning to you. Well, it's morning for me, but as always, whatever time of the day you are listening to this, I hope that it is great for you. This is totally impromptu. I, I'm just, I just have to get this out. So I've been reading um, a fairy tale, one of Stephen King's latest books, and it's amazing. If you are a Stephen King fan, I encourage you to get this book. Um, I was actually literally led to it in March, I think it was. I woke up one morning and I felt the urge to go to Walmart. And I was like, okay, we'll just go. So I went and walked into Walmart and was led to the book section and looked up, and there Stephen King's book was just in my face, and it called to me, literally called to me. Now I am an avid reader and a writer, and I read Stephen King's book on writing, and it changed my life. I learned a lot about him and his writing style, which it was just more or less a confirmation for me that I'm on the right trail, right? I'm on the right path to in my writing career. So anyway, back to the book, and I get the book, and I'm looking at it. It's a novel, of course. His books are novel, but there was just a draw. I mean, like I needed this book, um, and I got it. Uh, just so happened to have the exact amount that I needed to buy it. I bought it and dove right into it. Um, and of course it's a masterful piece of art because it's Stephen King. But I haven't been able to read it as much as I wanted to. But it has always been these months. It has always been like right by my side. So going off of my last podcast where I introduced and told you guys about this wonderful man who has come into my life. Um, midway through our relationship, a couple weeks in, I believe it is, God spoke to me and said that this is a fairy tale summer with my man. His name is Skip. I don't know why I'm afraid to say his name. His name is Skip. God spoke to me clearly and said that this relationship with Skip, he and I are in a fairy tale summer. And when God spoke that to me, um, I automatically knew that that was the title for writing, whether it was going to be a poem, a short story, or actual book. I knew that that was the title. And the second day after he gave that to me, it was like a great big huge fluorescent light bulb went off in my head that I have a book that he led me to called Fairy Tale. Now you have to understand I'm very intense. I am an Aries. I go from 0 to 1,000 like in the blink of an eye, and I literally lost my mind. I was like, oh my God, I have a fairy tale, and God just told me it's a fairy tale summer. So I began to pay more attention to the happenings um, in our relationship and Skip and Mike's relationship, and key experiences just began to jump out at me, and we were only together physically for 6 weeks, and then Skip flew off. But you can listen to my last podcast, you'll get the rundown on that. So to my excitement right now, yesterday, it has been an intention of mine. I wrote my intentions down and my affirmations, and it has been an intention of mine to finish this book by Stephen King, um, because I just knew that there's something in this book for me, right? Anyway, so yesterday I decided that I'm just gonna read. It was my day for reading, and so I grabbed the book, got my coffee, sat down, on the bed, and as I started reading, I heard, "This is for you. Pay attention as you read." And I'm like, okay. But if you know Stephen King's book, right, you know it's a lot of horror, a lot of death, a lot of grim stuff. And I'm like, I don't really know if I. What are you talking about? This is for me. What's finna happen? So I'm just reading and I'm reading, and the main character, Charlie Reed, in the book, makes this statement, and the statement is that inspiration does not knock. And he's referencing a part in the book Dracula where I think it's Van Helsing is talking about laughter, true laughter, and how when this is my version of what he was saying, but when something real funny happens and you cannot control that laughter from coming from the pit of your being, and it just blurts out like you couldn't control it if you wanted to, that laughter did not knock. And what Charlie was saying in the book was that inspiration does not knock. True inspiration will just grab you and it will take you somewhere or lead you to something that you just have to act on in that moment. And so I grabbed that and I stopped and I just grabbed a piece of paper and I wrote that down, and it's just been in my spirit since yesterday. It just kept going over and over in my head. And so right now I'm just sitting here, and I started out with doing my communion time after I did my affirmation, going over my affirmations and my intention. And I started to do my communion journaling, and inspiration did not knock. And it grabbed me. So a little preface on that is that, yes, last night Skip and I were talking, and he's a boss. And when I say that, I mean literally where he works, he's a boss. But his character and his demeanor is so powerful, but not demanding. I mean, he is the epitome of a good man. He has been through hell, don't get me wrong. He has made his mistakes just like each and every one of us. But him, like myself, made the decision to find, he made the decision to learn more about himself and become more authentic in his journey. And that just, it just pours out of his presence when you are around him. He demands attention without demanding anything. He's that guy. And it really makes me, and I'm going into religion right now, into Christianity right now, but as I've said before, this is not, my podcast is not about religion, but I'm using Jesus just to kind of give you an understanding of what I'm saying. So if you know the story of Jesus, when he began his ministry, he did not go out and seek people. They came to him just because of who he was, his character, his integrity, his belief in himself and what he is called to do. And that is Skip. He believes in goodness. He believes in justice. He believes in everybody being treated equally. So we were talking, and he was describing to me about the things going on at his job, this new promotion that he's received, and the impact that he has doing what he does. It, as a boss in the job, people rise up to meet the standard that he set easily, with no problem and with no hesitation. And so much so till if he left, as an example, if he left the company, people would quit. That's just how good he is. And so, me with my goofy self, I go, oh, well, that's just the skip factor. It's the skip factor. It's just what you bring to the table. And I'm going to call it the skip factor. And we started laughing about that. But that really stuck in my mind like, wow, a person like that is a major factor, a major key in whatever's going on. So, as I'm sitting here this morning, inspiration did not knock. And I just grabbed my pen and just started writing about him and his impact in my life. And it was just supposed to be like a little vignette or something like that, a little poem, but it morphed into a story that in it I'm tongue tied because of how inspiration is an entity. It is a real thing. You can't see it, but you can definitely feel it. You can feel its power and its presence. And I was in its power in the moment when I wrote this. And when I finished, I was beside myself with it because I didn't know what I was doing. I just much like when I do these podcasts, like I have an idea of which way I'm going, but in the moment, it's totally inspiration. And inspiration means in spirit, in case you didn't know. So it's a spirit-led creation that I came up with, and I'm sitting here looking at it like, oh my God, I just did that. I just did that. And it's kind of like we go back to Stephen King, and that's how he writes his story. And a lot of authors, they write until they get into that place where it's no longer them writing, but it's the story writing itself. And I just had this major epiphany about authenticity, because that's kind of what the story is about. I'm Skip coming into my life, much like Christ came into my life and showed me my truth and my authenticity, and now I am operating from that place. And that's what, doggone it, y'all, that's what this podcast is all about. Like, right? So we're on our journey to authenticity and going through hell and high water, right? Being, and I'm going to use Isaiah 53, being crushed and bruised and crucified for our own sake, to save our own selves from the lies and the deception of the false us that we have been given, being crucified through that to a certain form of death, if you will, and then being resurrected into who I'm preaching right now, being resurrected into who we are chosen, have been chosen and called to be, which is our authentic self. What a doggone epiphany. I mean, see, this is what happens. I don't know why I got on here, but I think it I was to tell you that this is what it's all about. Living our lives in the flow of inspiration, inspired by spirit, in whom we live, we breathe, and we have our being. And this is why I refuse to use the word transformation when we are talking about becoming our authentic selves. Because when you are in the flow and this becomes your lifestyle, as you, if you will, is not focusing on the outer world, but living our lives from within instead of being influenced to live our lives from our surroundings, but living from within, then you get into a flow which just flows into even bigger, greater, more expanded inspiration, or living in spirit, which then leads you into the next version of your higher self, which then you get into the flow of at that level, and you become bigger and expand more, and you elevate and you awaken and you become more enlightened, and that leads you further into the next are y'all catching that? Are you catching what I'm putting down? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? It's and you can't transform into that. That's why I don't like the word. You cannot transform into that. Remember, one of my first episodes, like, we are not transformers. You're not going to transform into that truck, whatever, the diesel thingy, Optimus. And then when you're done fighting, you transform back into your vehicle. No. We are evolving into the next version of ourselves, evolving upward, not descending, not unvolving. I don't think that's a word, but you know what I'm talking about. But we are going higher and higher, inspired by spirit, which is nothing but good. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, expectancy, hope, all the, so on the spectrum of light and dark, and darkness being depression and fear and anger and frustrations and anxiety and all that. No, we're not there. We're going higher into light, more and more light, more love, more clarity, more vision, more desire for good stuff, more desire to help other people, compassion, those things. And we receive more. And the more we receive, the more we put out, the more we put out, the more we receive. And it just gets bigger and bigger. And we evolve higher and higher. And life gets gooder and gooder. I'm in this thing right now. Wow. So I just had to, this was not, see, and that's what I want. I want to be able to just be inspired to do my thing and then just do it. That's what this message is. Get in the flow. If you are struggling, if you are, and don't get me wrong, look, I have not always been like this. I have been in the midst, in the, what that stuff called? Quicksand of darkness, where every move I made, just that darkness just sucked me down even further. And I understand you may be there right now, but let this podcast, this word, this inspiration encourage you to hold on. Hold on and think higher than where you are now. If you're afraid right now, don't think afraid. Think higher. Think higher. Think, yes, I can. Think, yes, I will. Think, yes, I am. I can overcome this. I am getting out of this. I am greater than this that I'm in right now, because you are. You really, really are. You truly are greater than you can even imagine. And I'm not telling you that because it's a cliche slogan. I'm not telling you that because I read it in a book somewhere. I'm telling you this because I'm living it. I am living this thing right now. It took a whole lot of hell and high water to get here, but I'm here. Is everything perfect in my life? Yes, it is. Because there's nothing missing and nothing broken. I may not have all the material things that I desire, but that's a good thing, because sometimes we don't need things that we actually desire. That's another story. But all of my needs are met. And I'm happy. Let me change. Let me clarify that happy. I have joy. I am happy, don't get me wrong, but happiness is based on what's happening. I have joy. Unspeakable and full of glory. And joy is a state of being. Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's all I got right now. Feels good to be in the flow. It feels good to be in the flow and actually operate and do whatever that flow is leading me to do. You know what I'm talking about. Like you might have a good idea and you'd be like, "Ooh, that's good, but I'll do it later because I got to finish this right now." No, that's conditioning of the world. If if you are hit with an idea and you can't physically, literally stop what you're doing and move on that idea, then get yourself a piece of paper, a sticky note. If you don't have a sticky note, write a note in your hand to remind yourself to go back to that and get back in that inspiration and fulfill that thing that you were given to do. Because inspiration, it is an inspired thought or an inspired feeling or sensation by spirit for you to do something that is necessary and needed. And it may not necessarily be for you, but you have been the one chosen to put it in operation. I heard Les Brown, one of my mentors who I have not met, but he's been mentoring me for years, said and I don't know if it's his quote, but nevertheless, said that the richest place in the world is the cemetery, because there lies so many visions, so many dreams, so many ideas, so many unwritten books, unwritten songs, undrawn arts, pictures. You understand what I'm saying? So much creativity and talent that is now dead, that did not get the opportunity to come forth because whomever it was given to did not act on the inspired thought to do it. Don't let your creation join the graveyard of lost inspiration. Somebody needs what you have. And if you are inspired to do something, that means, I just seen something. So let's say you're inspired. That's good. You're inspired to write a story and you didn't move on it. Let's say perhaps that story that was given to you to write, that there's somebody on the other side of the world that was sitting in a dark place, and the very thing that's causing them grief and sorrow is the very thing that you were supposed to write about. You're that link. You're their gateway to the light on the other side of that tunnel. And you didn't write, or you didn't sing, or you didn't do whatever. And so that energy died with you and never reached the person that it was supposed to uplift, the person that it was supposed to touch and evolve, because you didn't move to open the door. You didn't know, because inspiration doesn't knock, because you didn't respond to inspiration. Yeah, that's good. You understand what I'm saying? And that's a heavy way to put it, but I'm telling you, That's how it is. Because we are all a part of universal consciousness. And I'm telling you this now. If you have decided to find your true, authentic self, that is an inspired choice, an inspired decision, because you are meant to touch so many other people's lives because of who you are and what you know and how you are. The higher version of you somebody needs. So get on it. I hope this has inspired you to keep on moving forward. Keep on pushing. I don't care how. Listen, the fight gonna get ugly. It's gonna get dirty. You're gonna be hurt. This ain't gonna be no easy battle. Come on, Rocky. How many times did Rocky get hit before he, Clubber Lang knocked his face off? I'm going somewhere. Let me stop. But listen, the fight is not over until you win. You are fighting for yourself. So don't give up on yourself. You get to that next version and you live it and you be it and you evolve through it and go on to the next one, because it's not over. It's not over until you win. I love y'all. Have a fantastic whatever part of the day is. And remember, I got your back.